Is genetic engineering a bunch of malarkey? It kind of seems as though type 1 diabetes has been the best blueprint ever for a industry to pop up. I think last year the insulin industry banked $3.3 billion. I think that's the number, and that's enormous. It's actually kind of disgusting that three companies have formed an oligopoly that have basically kept doctors, patients, and people with loved ones living with diabetes in the dark to such an extent that it makes me feel as though I should be insisting on collecting royalties from these companies, because what they've done is they've banked every year on new compositions of screwing up the polypeptides in insulin. They identified that our problem, that is autoimmune diabetes, our problem is our bodies are rejecting our own insulin. And so they've started justifying these new creations of morphed amino acids and polypeptides and things that are just doing nothing more than creating a stronger resistance to insulin, both in our bodies and in the bodies of people that they even created a new type of diabetes. And I say new, meaning, speaking back, type 2. Autoimmune diabetes was the first that they identified. They realized that it needed to be treated with insulin, although for years and years before the turn of the century, before the 1920s, when they discovered the insulin from baby cows. Baby cows was the first type of insulin that Banting and Best introduced to the market. But ever since then, it's just turned into this Frankenstein type of experiment that, banks more and more money every year for them. What does it do for those of us with diabetes? They've found no redeeming aspects to the insulin analogs, except for the shareholders of the companies that are manufacturing these and literally morphing the bodies and screwing with everything. I'm sorry. It's unfortunate, and like I said, I think I should start demanding royalties for having been utilized as a blueprint for one of the most prolific industries ever, and that's diabetes. And people with diabetes are forced to trust their doctors and forced to trust everything that's going on. And I'm rolling film here. What's the matter? Have fun. All right, fine, thanks. I'm on a family vacation. I can't get diabetes off my mind, nor can I find privacy to roll. But nevertheless, I'm really disappointed that the industry of diabetes has been allowed to grow like a virus. And, it's really disappointing that it's the scientists and the researchers who are saying, this insulin thing is getting out of hand. You realize that the autoimmune diabetes is in fact the body rejecting insulin, and the manufacturing of these Franken-insulin analog type things are doing nothing more. People with type 2 diabetes, I meet them, they say they're put on insulin and their doctors are starting on 40, 50, 80, 90. It just keeps growing most of the time. And it's because the body's building a resistance to its own insulin and to this insulin, which they continue to call analogs. Isn't everybody mad about this? I'm mad, but I don't think being angry about manipulation of people is going to do anything. I just think that patients asking questions, and even, there should be a 1-800 number on every box there with the insulin analogs you buy. Just call and ask, is this stuff really safe for me? Do you know if it's safe for me? Do you have a 30-year track record? Or how about the natural insulins that had, decades and decades of a track record? Insulin companies, they knew for a very long time about things diabetes related, and they still do, and they even designed studies like the pro-insulin study. They realized they had to design a fractured study in order to convince people with diabetes that C-peptide was insignificant. Oh boy, is that one of the biggest lies ever. And I would love to hear these guys have to take the stand and explain how they designed these studies. They knew the half-life of C-peptide was extraordinarily longer than that of insulin, and they come out of the very same cells in the body, the beta cells. So why would you think that C-peptide was insignificant? Last time I checked, there's nothing in the human body that shouldn't be there. And truly, if it shouldn't be there, it atrophies. Evolution extracts it over time. Oh my gosh. These companies, how dare they? How dare they? Yeah. Anyway, I'm on vacation, so I'm going to try and not keep thinking about this, but I can't help it. When my mind clears, all of a sudden things start to make a lot of sense. And business, business doesn't have to be ugly. Business doesn't have to hurt people, especially a business that calls itself a pharmaceutical company. 3 of them. You know who you are. And you guys just be on watch, because if what you're doing is truly hurting people, I don't see it doing a world of good for these people that have type 2 diabetes. But I'm going to stop. I don't want this to be very long, but I'm Allison Love Beatty. This is a broadcast that appears on alliesvoice.com. If you'd like to subscribe, please do. Otherwise, just check back on YouTube. Take care, everybody.